Let's take a little shop tour of the Herb-O-Matic shop. Here's the front room. Here's the middle room. Here's the parts room where we have all our parts and everything. Here's the side room where we've got all the vending machines and the quads. Here's the old candy room for when we had a vending business. Here's our back room. This part of the shop is actually air conditioned. Here's our furniture from the wedding. Here's some more vending machines. She got away again. Well, that was the shop tour. Guys, thanks for watching. All right, just cleaned this place up for you guys. So I want to, hear a little bit of appreciation. As you come in the door here, you got the light switches behind the air compressor. The air compressor is half Craftsman, half Campbell Housefield. Craftsman developed a leak and the Housefield compressor didn't work. So those two got married. Over here, we have our charging station for our power tools. My favorite is Milwaukee. I won't use anything else. So over here, we've got some of the toolboxes, all Harbor Freight, top of the line. And here's my pegboard. I got these purple shop carts. These are kind of handy. I picked these up at a yard sale. They just have 4 casters on the bottom. And I use them for projects, or they get junked up just like everything else. There's an old Harbor Freight TIG, but it's scratch start, so it's not very good. In the middle of the room here, I've got the main work table. And I always like to keep this cleared off after each project. So, always make sure you do that. Swinging over by the tools again is the auxiliary work table. So again, keep these clear in between projects. It really, organized life, just way more productive. Over here, we got our bolt and hardware organizers. Those are from Harbor Freight as well. Back behind there, we got our chemical storage. What you want to do is store all your chemicals right above your chemical storage, your fire cabinets. And it's just the usual suspects in here. Fun times. Over here, I got aluminum cans. I need to do a little crushing session. I want to add a hopper to that can crusher. Over here, we got a couple workbenches. Pristine. Our Harbor Freight bandsaw. The box it came in. I like to lean the broom here, just make it look like I clean up sometimes. We got our 3.5 hooker chest freezer. This is the room I used to keep all my candy in for my vending business. These are all just empty boxes that need to go to the cardboard place. And this is a little office off of the candy room. More cardboard. Okay, so that's the front couple rooms. Now you can see this used to be an outside wall because those are outside the windows. Everything got busted out when I bought this building. It was abandoned for a few years. So I picked it up for a song and a dance. Here's a bunch of solar panels. I picked these up super cheap. They have cosmetic blemishes on the frames. I didn't care about that. I don't know. I didn't really have a plan when I bought them, but I figure they got to be good for something. My gardening tools, meticulously organized. My jet ski, I haven't taken it out for a weekend or two. So hopefully get her all tuned up. I do plan on finishing her. I've got everything to finish her. I finished 2 of them, but then I sold them because I like money. So I want to finish this one because I super missed going to the lake. All right, so over here, got a scaffolding that I'm using to hold scrap steel. It's a Harbor Freight scaffolding. Here's a weird little grocery display where I've got scrap steel. Here's some expanded steel and stuff that I used to use to make vending security cages. And as we swing around here, we got some of the vending machines. So vending, guys, is super trouble-free business. All you do is you go out and fill the machines. There's nothing else to do. You know, it's just super chill business. No problems at all. All right, so over here we got the bathroom. I put this in when I bought the place. It just had the hole in the ground. Oh, my lights. Remote's gone out. Super nice electrical in here. If you need to poop and you can't make it back to the house, got a nice little bathroom here. This is a, complete tour of the shop. So, all right, leaving the bathroom, come down this hall here. I've got some trays for snack machines. Here is a table saw. Some, what is this? 3/8 polycarbonate. Some more vending machines. I grew up next to this car. It's a 1957 Ford Fairlane 500. And when I was about 19 and real dumb, I bought it for $2,500, which that's not the dumb part. The dumb part is I stripped it all down from paint, tore it all apart, tore out the interior. It was all original, tore it all apart. It was ratty. I mean, you can see that it was ratty and disintegrating, so it needed to be done. But I tore it all apart, and then I just never finished it. Life got in the way. So, what am I, 38 now? So, I've had this car for about as long in my life as I haven't had the car. So, I definitely want to restore this on the channel. I rebuilt this engine, but it's got the original Thunderbird Special 312 V8, 245 horsepower, which is pretty good. 245 horsepower in 1957 is pretty good. Now, she was an automatic, and I did a pretty crude job turning her into a floor shift manual because, again, I was 19, so I didn't do the best work. Save money, live better. So I still got to sell a lot of these things. Here's a project from college. There's a robot that had interchangeable attachments that go in this U part to do different chores. Never really got finished. Story of my life. All right, so over here we have some more vending machines. Kind of a vending machine alley. And we've got two quads here. Little Polaris Trail Boss and a Yamaha Warrior 350. My father-in-law gave me these to store because he bought a side-by-side, but he said I could use them whenever I want. So that's a pretty sweet deal. I'm gonna buy a carburetor for each one, but they're basically on permanent loan. So, all right, let's talk about my vending business. I started my vending business in 2007, and this was my first machine. It's a Dixie Narco 368 single price soda machine, and I still have the ticket for it. Rob Mullen sold it to me. He's since passed. Here it is. I paid $995 for it. And back then I was selling the cans of soda for 65 cents. They almost cost that much to buy in bulk now. And I couldn't even afford that. I had to borrow the money to buy this one machine. And I had to pay interest on the money and everything else. But I bought this and I ran it while I was in college. And I grew my business machine by machine. Like this machine bought the next machine. Those two machines bought the next machine. And so on and so forth. Until a few months ago, I had 115 machines on location, all paid for. No loans on any of them except for this first one. I grew it from, like I said, a $995 vending machine to something that was pushing $500,000 a year in sales. And a couple months ago, I sold the whole thing. I ended up selling it in parts to independent vendors. About a year ago, I started getting pretty heavy into YouTube. I decided I liked doing that. And, it's too hard to ride two horses in two different directions. It took me about a year to sell it. And that's where I've been. I'm keeping this thing. And here's my company shirt. So there's a lot of nostalgia for me. It's my first company that I built. And I remember working a lot of summers to try to buy vending machines. When I wasn't in college, I was welding railings at apartment complexes. Apartment complex railings used to be like 7.5 inches, but kids would fall through. And then parents like freak out, like get all weird and twisted up, get their panties in a uproar about their kids falling through the bars and, you know, head first into the concrete. So anyways, they changed the regulation to like 4 inches and so every complex had to add a bar in between each bar on all the railings. And so I did a lot of that for, you know, $1 a bar or something. And I remember in the summers wearing a sweater. It's 115 degrees in Phoenix all the time. And I was wearing a sweater and welding, and it was awful, but I used every dime to grow my little vending business. So I sold a lot of diabetes in my life. And, you know, I really take credit for helping the healthcare industry. You know, without me, there's a lot of nurses and insulin companies that may not have jobs. I mean, who knows how much I've helped. Every time a soda would crack, dietitian gets their wings. So, you know, I helped a lot of people. It was a good little business, and I was ready to move on. Yeah, so now I'm unemployed. I'm kind of an unemployed bum, but you know, the wife still works, so that's good. Let's go back down this hall here. We'll make a left into the parts room. So this door has an observation window and it's padded. I don't know, it was like that when I got here, guys, I promise. All right, so here's the parts room. Here's my Tonka toys that I had when I was a kid. Here's the automotive section. Over here, we've got vending parts. I mean, you know, you can see, it's an intuitive organization. You guys can just guess for yourself. So that's a poop snake. Now that's not for when you're constipated. That's if your toilet's constipated. So don't misuse that. I don't want to call it a poop snake and somebody gets hurt and complains. All right, this is all vending machine parts, little motors, control boards, fun stuff like that. Yeah, these are all the shims and stuff. You gotta use shims for different size containers. You know, if you're doing 20-ounce bottles, you use these. If you're using 12-ounce cans, you use those. Here's some of the house construction stuff. This house was completely trashed. I fixed it up, fixed up the house completely, and I fixed up the shop as far as I needed to. Here's all the coin mechs and bill acceptors. A lot of these are junk. A lot of them can be salvaged. Pressure washer and a couple of lawnmowers. Here's a pallet jack. Philippe Pallet invented these. Same guy that invented the Philippe head screwdriver. Got the back room. Now this part of the shop is air conditioned. We have a little station for testing bill and coin acceptors. There's an old trunk full of records my aunt gave me. Here's a bunch of coils for AMS snack machines. There's the wife's bicycle. There's my bike. Furniture from the wedding. Here's some ice cream vending machines. Snack machine. Here's some more solar panels. So the original shop and house were built in the 1940s out of this red brick. And the house is actually made out of red brick too, but it's since been stuccoed over. And I think it's the same guy that built the house, the shop, and the bomb shelter, because See this use of salvaged I-beams to support the ceiling? Well, he also used them over here too. And we kind of saw that same overbuiltness in the bomb shelter. So this was all originally built in 1940s, and it got expanded on, obviously, because there's different construction styles as you go along. Here's the size of those rivets on that beam. So this same like striped red brick is what the house is made out of. So I'm guessing this back part here is the original part of the shop, and then it had several additions over the years. And if you look at the aerial photography, you can kind of see that over the years. Here's the wife, when she moved in, we just moved her townhouse back here. And some of it made it into the house, and some of it's still out here. And then back here, there's the wife's piano. And back here, I have a couple of Pook mopeds from my childhood. I don't know if they're pronounced Pook or Pooch. But this one back here, 1.5 horsepower, 2-stroke. I used to ride that around as a kid from about the time I was 12 years old. And at the time, I grew up in Goodyear, Arizona, which was out in the middle of nowhere. And they had a little program where the cops rode mountain bikes like Dangle from Reno 911. And the cops would be yelling at me to stop. I'd be riding this thing. And I didn't know how to mix the gas and oil. So I mixed it way too rich. I had to carry an extra spark plug in my pocket. I never really figured that out. And it would blow a blue cloud of smoke that would stand behind the bike. I mean, you could ride down the street, make several turns, look back, see where you came from, see the trail of smoke leading back to your bike. But it was a lot of fun. And I remember when the cops would be yelling at me to stop, I would start to ride away. But with only 1.5 horsepower, you could only go about 24 miles an hour or something like that. And the cops would be gaining at me at first. And I remember looking back, and the cop was pedaling his heart out, and he started choking on that cloud of smoke, of that horrible blue smoke. And you can hear him back there coughing, and I got away. And, I was a punk little kid, so I was laughing and everything. But I remember the next day or the day after, I was walking home from school, and I felt a hand on my shoulder. And I turned around, and there was that cop. And anyways, he took me home to my grandmother, who was none too pleased. But yeah, I continued to ride it anyways. Eventually, they just insisted I wear a helmet, that one there, and glasses. So that was a good compromise. I used to have a little bike trailer that I attached to the back, and I had tools in there, and I'd go around doing handyman work. Fixing mostly just swamp coolers. Make $5 an hour. The cops also yelled at me for pulling a trailer too. They said I wasn't allowed to, but I did anyways. And yeah, it was good. So it was good to grow up in a small town, and it was a lot of fun riding this around. Here's a soda machine that I got to give to my buddy, and there's the back door of the shop. And this place was called Fruitland Acres, and sometimes when you check the weather, it still says you're in Fruitland Acres, Arizona. Anytime Kylie gets away, I leave some money out, and then pretty soon she's hanging out by it. So
like a rat.
Like a rat to cheese. Oh yeah, here's another one of those I-beams here. So he must have built this center section too. This part out here is stick framing. So this is definitely a later addition. And you can kind of see where this was the outside wall. You see the same stripes in the bricks. And there's an outside window, and there's an outside window. Ooh, that would have been bad. Oh. When I first bought this place in 2012, the whole place was a disaster. Holes in every single wall, every single window busted out. I mean, it had been abandoned for a few years by the bank. I was in here all the time just trying to get the shop usable. And the house was the same way. Windows all busted out. The ceiling busted out. All the copper gone. All the wires gone. And I was just trying to make the place livable, but I was also trying to run my business. I'd moved from an apartment where I was renting a shop to this place. And I picked up this whole place for basically a handshake with a loan shark. I didn't make enough to qualify for anything. So anyways, I'm back here late one night after work, doing my vending job. And I've got a headlight on, and it's pitch black back here. and I'm sweeping up glass and copious amounts of sawdust. Anyhow, I'm sweeping and I turn around, there's a guy standing there and I freak out. I'm like, hey, it's weird because I had the dogs. I never heard a peep out of the dogs or anything. He goes, yeah, this was a furniture factory and I used to work here. And I'm looking at his hands and this is what it looked like. I mean, this is no joke. He's like, yeah, I used to work here a lot. And I was like, oh, okay, I just bought it. And I was pretty friendly with him. And he's like, can I keep my bees in the back? And I was like, you know, I don't know yet. You know, I just got the place. You know, he's like, well, I used to keep my bees in the back. And I used to work in the furniture factory. I don't remember. Yeah, it was like this. He said a couple of the workers used to live in the bomb shelter. And he says, and the house was a nursing home. And I knew that about the house because I was getting mail that, and it was addressed to Welcome Home Care Home. It was mostly catalogs for nursing home beds and stuff like that. I said, how'd you get past my dogs? And he goes, well, they never even noticed me. And so anyways, I walk him out through the front gate. I didn't think much of it. And then like a month later, 2 months later, again, it's after work. I'm in here late at night working on one of these stupid vending machines. And I turn around and there's this guy standing there again. And I go, whoa, you know, once again, no warning from the dogs or anything. I had it like the gate's closed. The house is like, you know, I've been here for a while. I've been working on stuff. And I turn around and I go, whoa, I go, what are you doing here? And he's like, can I keep my bees in the bag? And I said, man, you can't keep just showing up here. And he goes, well, I used to work here. And I was like, dude. Anyways, so that scared the bejesus out of me. So I told the guy, you know, that I was pretty mad at him because he keeps, you know, he climbed over my fence. And I don't know how he got past the dogs. Nobody has gotten past the dogs except for this guy. So at one point, this place was called European Custom Upholstery. And there was furniture forms. A lot of that stuff got thrown out. Yeah, and he told me that he lost his fingers in this shop, you know, and I never found them. All right, guys, you guys haven't met the newest addition to the family. She came by last December. She's our little Christmas dog. Her name is Pearl. And she's like a pit mix of some sort. But she's pretty great. And then this is Buddy. He's my little red-nosed pit. He's getting very old, but man, is he a great guard dog. And then this is Dude. He's amazing. His name is The Dude, but we're into the whole brevity thing, so we just call him Dude. And he's a pit and chow mix, so he's pretty ornery himself. All right, you guys. The patrons bought these cookies for you. It's been a hectic year, huh, babe?
Yeah.
It's been wild.
Yeah.
Like, what's funny is that the year that we're getting out of vending ended up having the most vending. Like, It was the heaviest vending year I've ever had in my life.
The most vending I've experienced.
Yeah, we refurbished like 115 machines and got them ready to sell. And
I worked 7 days a week for months and months.
So it was hectic. So it was a wild year, guys. So that's where we've been the last year. Selling vending machines, refurbishing vending machines, and just selling the whole route. So it was a lot of work, but I'm happy to move on to the next thing. And now we have a lot more time for butt shots, and that's what's important. Butt scenes, made up facts. You know, we got lots of time for ridiculous thing, you know, butt scenes all the time. You know, all the time butt scenes, 100 years butt scenes, guys. So, you know, we'll do some ridiculous projects together, and it'll be a ton of fun.